Is that your beeping?
Yes,
Okay, I wondered
sorry.
where that came from. No, that's okay. I heard it a while ago and I thought maybe it was that thing up there. All right. Get out your pens. And let me see if I can help you make sense of the assignment in number 1. Did you have any trouble finding those electronically? Logging on? You didn't have any trouble logging on? Okay.
I don't know if I can answer that question. Are you talking about with,
Finding to read it, finding the actual
Oh, okay.
storytelling, you didn't have any trouble. They're fairly easy to
yeah,
locate
once I was able,
electronically.
to get in there.
All right.
Is there something we're supposed to do to make these not disappear? Are we talking about finding the articles on
On the internet?
in the Dropbox?
Why, have they
Or-
disappeared again?
No, but last night something happened.
We
and-
don't, Erin is the expert and I was talking to, she doesn't know.
I just Googled them after, because I couldn't find it, so I Googled
So I
them.
just sent the link to everybody again, 2 different ways.
And I saw the 2 emails.
Yeah.
Are they all that easy to find though? Because when I Googled them, they were right there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I did.
I don't even, are they in Dropbox?
Yes.
I think I have them in Dropbox, but
Yeah.
those are easy to get off the internet.
Yeah, I
'cause
couldn't
they're-
find, Dropbox wouldn't work for me, so I
Yeah.
just Googled and found them, so.
They're easy to find. All right.
That's not.
First of all, this is a condensed answer. So do not waste verbiage saying why storytelling is a pedagogic strategy. All right, that's one of the questions you're going to ask. Well, that's 6 words of space. You don't have to write the question. You're going to answer the question, but you don't have to write what the question is.
So no restating.
Okay. You do, however, need to count the questions. And there are 7 questions. I'm counting for you. That means that you will have 7 distinct paragraphs. 1 paragraph per question. So if you don't have 7 paragraphs, you haven't done it correctly. Then the second question is, if you haven't done the correct 7 paragraphs, you could have 7 paragraphs and it still might not be correct because you didn't do the correct 7 paragraphs. But to start with, if you don't have 7 distinct paragraphs, then you don't have a correct answer.
So we are not writing an introduction or anything?
You are not writing an introduction. The first line of page 1 is the first line of paragraph 1.
Okay.
The last line of your page 2 is the last line of your paragraph 7.
Oh, this is gonna kill me.
Huh?
So this is gonna kill me, because I like to make it all pretty, yeah, okay. I can do it.
Okay, 7 paragraphs. Answers only. Don't say, the answer to this paragraph number,
That's awful.
just start right in and answer the question. All right, so now let's see if we can locate the 7 paragraphs. Number 1, why storytelling as a pedagogic strategy? That's paragraph number 1. I'm on page 8, under assignment, which is right underneath storytelling. All right, you see where it says, second line, why storytelling is a pedagogic strategy? Assignment, up the top 5, storytelling, assignment, second line of that. You still have 5.
No, I still don't see it.
I'm sorry, right there, last one.
Oh.
Oh, your spacing is different than mine.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
yours is like mine, a little weird.
Yeah, mine, number 5 is at the top of the page on mine, sorry about that. Okay, paragraph number 2. What is narrative? And what is its relation to culture? That question represents paragraph number 2 answer. So answering that question is paragraph number 2. Paragraph number 3. How is narrativity different from narrative? Notice that implies that in paragraph number 2 you're going to define narrative and then show how it's related to culture. And in paragraph number 3 you're going to have to define narrativity, not in paragraph 2 because it doesn't ask you about narrativity in paragraph 2. It asks about narrativity in paragraph 3. So in paragraph 3 you're going to define narrativity and then compare it to narrative. Paragraph 4. On page 18, what is Michel de Montaigne, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I'm not French, mean when he refers to the snail track of personal experience across the sweep of time? That's paragraph number 4. Paragraphs 5 and 6, a little tricky. So don't write anything down yet. I'm going to read how to resolve the dilemma, specify the two bads to be balanced, related to making objective sense of life's events. All right, it turns out that paragraph 5 is what is in parentheses there. Specify the two bads to be balanced. That's paragraph 5. Paragraph 6 is the rest of that question. How to resolve the dilemma related to making objective sense of life's events. So the part in parentheses becomes paragraph 5. The rest of the question is paragraph 6. And number 7, what is meant by dynamic social tensions? Sorry, is everybody clear on the 7 paragraphs? All right. You may have noticed that the word reification is fairly important in that article. I hope you noticed that. What do we mean by reification?
Research says.
That's an example of it. But that's not a description or a definition. And by the way, that's an example, but it's not an egregious example.
Giving voice to something that's
Keep going.
not animate.
You're getting closer.
Saying the book says, that's the example again.
The data, I
Example.
think is stronger than research, right?
Yeah.
Like a stronger.
By the way, what you just said reminded me of one of my all-time pet peeves. That means you probably want to write this down.
Is this
so
one
that you-
bigger than the formatting pet peeve?
Yes. Well, it's right up there with it.
Okay.
Oh,
Data is
Oh.
incorrect.
is that a-
And that's a correct statement. Because under that, data is would be in quotes, and then that is a singular subject is incorrect. The reason data is incorrect is because correctly, data are. Because data are plural, and datum, D-A-T-U-M, is singular. A singular bit of data is a datum. That's from the Latin. So it's datum, singular,
Could've done that, that's
data,
pop quiz.
plural. So therefore, those data, not this data, data are, not data is, data were, not data was, and all other things related thereto. One of my all-time pet peeves. Another mind boggler. I tell people that data is a pet peeve, and yet I routinely run into data is time after time after time after time. So much so that I think people perseverate on doing data is just to boggle my mind.
Yep.
Be forewarned, if you write data, think are, think plural. I know that's hard to do because it is used incorrectly so much that now there's a case that ecstasis doesn't work
Don't pay attention to others.
because people use it incorrectly so much that if you pay attention to others on that, you're likely to pay attention to incorrect usage. So, normally I'm a big fan of ecstasis, but not on that one. Okay, now, let me see if I can backtrack. Let's make this a little easier. What is personification?
It's giving a non-human object human-like qualities.
All right, you just rattled that off like an English major.
Sorry.
Are you an English major?
I teach English.
Okay,
I'm
so give them that a little slower, 'cause that was good. So,
giving a non-human object human-like characteristics.
okay. Everybody might want to, that's a really good succinct definition of personification. You might want to write that down. That's very good. That's quotable. Candy says,
There we go. So I can leave now. I'm good.
Another question real
Say
quick.
one more time.
Giving a non-human
oh,
object.
well, it's a little slower because someone wanted to write that down.
Sorry.
This is for personification.
Giving a non-human object human-like characteristics.
Okay.
Do we write our stuff in past tense? Because you keep saying so-and-so says, but APA says, and Dr. Wilson drilled past tense on our verbiage.
It-
For APA.
That, you know, the shifting tenses, it depends, you know, I don't like to give a hard and fast rule. If you're analyzing data, unless you're doing it right now, then you've already analyzed your data, so the data were, or the data demonstrated, or things of that nature. But to some extent, you get these present perfect and those other cases, you know, I don't like to give a hard and fast rule for that. But in general, if you're talking about a study that you have already conducted and you are reporting on it, then it's probably going to be passed. Okay. Can somebody give us quick a definition on deification? No religious scholars in here? It's very similar.
Well, I was gonna say I can guess like a deity, like a god. Would it be giving characteristics like godlike characteristics?
Yes, giving godlike characteristics to another object. Or,
That would be my guess.
yeah, or another object or person, yeah. So it's very parallel.
Mhm.
Okay. You're doing very well on those. How about anthropomorphism? That one I might want to spell.
Yes.
By the way, would you be surprised to know that at one time in a former life I was a sociology, anthropology major?
Not at all.
Well, I was gonna say, there's the word anthropology.
There you go.
Humans.
And morph?
Change.
Well, but actually the root word of morph is body type. So we often talk about changing body type, so that it is often used as morph, but if you go back to the Greek, morph is body. It's similar, a little bit more complex. Let me give you probably the all-time quintessential example of anthropomorphism. Is one of the greatest works of art ever done, and it is located on the ceiling of a very important building in Europe, the Sistine Chapel, the painting by Michelangelo of, think about what that painting is. You have a figure, God, painted in all of his elder white bearded glory, reaching down to give life to a human that just happens to look a lot like the God that is giving the human life. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anthropomorphism is
Projection.
the giving or the projection of godlike qualities, or of human-like qualities to our gods. Anthropomorphism is the projection of human-like qualities to our gods. Now, if you think about that, the picture portrays God giving humans likeness. But if you think about who painted
A
that,
human painted.
a human painted God giving life to a human who looked like the human. Put another way, pictures of Jesus around the globe always reflect what?
Culture.
Has anybody ever looked at that?
Yeah, the culture that it was painted by.
The kids,
characteristics.
the kids paint Jesus. The kids who paint Jesus looking like they do.
Mhm.
That's another example of anthropomorphism. Think about the Lord thy God is a jealous God. Humans wrote that God is jealous, portraying a human emotion. And there are lots of examples of that in the Bible. Put another way, if we ever find intelligent life from some other planet, and they don't look exactly like us, what would we guess they think their gods look like?
Them,
Us?
not like them.
And that would, I guess that would be xenopomorphism. All right, does everybody understand that? By the way, it's also sometimes used as the giving of projection of human characteristics onto animals. But it started off that's a kind of an example of where the meanings diverge over time. But the original meaning is as we've been talking about here. All right, now, with those three backgrounds, reification is very similar. So now, see if you can do yours again, because you started, you were pretty close. Sherry?
Well, I was thinking to make something that,
The giving of human-like qualities
like
to
something that's concrete.
to something that's concrete or inanimate or a collectivity. So that's really what we're talking about here, the projection or the giving of human-like decision-making characteristics to concrete or collective, concrete or inanimate objects or collective notions or even abstract qualities. And you said research demonstrates. Now, a lot of times, now that's clear, strictly speaking, that's a reification. But if you think about it, that's a language shortcut. And many reifications are just simply language shortcuts. What we really mean by that is some researchers compiled a bunch of research, and if they summarized it, this is what it said. But we often just say research says, without saying that. Problem is that language shortcuts sometimes have the characteristic of reifying research as if it is something that kind of does it on its own, and it doesn't. We have to remember, research doesn't live, research doesn't do research, researchers do research. And we have to remember that the school took a field trip. You know, that shortcut language for legal responsibilities vested in teachers who planned a field trip, including identifying parents, collecting money, planning pre-lesson activities, doing the thing, post-lesson rights, all of that kind of stuff was all wrapped into the legal aspects of taking a field trip. But we don't say all that, we just say the school took a field trip. More egregious. Does everybody know what egregious means?
upsetting.
Upsetting and negative in a pretty bad way. Committee did the work. Is our food here?
I think so.
All right. Think about the committee did the work, and think about your experience with committees. How many of you have ever been on an experience where a committee did the work? Did you ever find a committee thing that did the work? Or did you find that inevitably it was you that did the work? Or the government did that to us? Well, what you have is a bunch of elected officials representing us, hopefully, or maybe not. But ultimately, government is a collection of individuals. And government, collective audiences can't make decisions. Ultimately, only individuals make decisions. More on that after we eat. How many of you brought lunches? How many of you need to hit a refrigerator or something to get those?
I didn't know there was refrigerators.
Well, I work here. I have one upstairs.
I have ice packs.
I apologize for sleeping out.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, did he, oh, he was going, oh, so he didn't know if this was the right place.
he was going, so he
That's right. Oh, the food man, come on.
This refreshes me.
It does me more refreshing than the food. When I hear Keystone sing, I swear separating the original on the way to cling onto the relationship.
You know, he's the one that, she's the one that broke up.
Yeah.
So I had to
She probably already separated before she broke up.
I had apologized to him. I was like, I'm sorry that I ran up the door.
Just
He
jumped up, ran away?
But he just kept walking.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's hard to do, but I had to have one. Cause I was always in between houses and lunchtime at work, he was wanting something to read something in 20 minutes. You know.
I need that Coke so badly.
I'll bring stuff like that into the house. My computer's so bad because I dumped it in there, but he just kept that. I don't say he could just grab it. You remember my old one, that was like, I saw him carrying that around. It was,
Carrying away.
but it was old enough. That we were doing. What we're gonna do next time, okay, is then just like, two, and I got one, two.
Oh my gosh.
And he ran so.
Not helping caffeine.
No, but that's where I want to start. I've had help, I had,
No, still on
the fruit, and the pepper cheese, and a handful of almonds.
Can we put on music? We're gonna do
I've been putting this off all morning. Oh, the potato chip thing, I need to do to eat just one.
I know, girl, I was the first thing I did while I was talking to him, I sat there drinking, I'm like, I'm sorry.
Well, I apologized to Dr. Miller. I was like, I'm sorry that I just jumped up and ran out. I said, but he just kept on going. And I knew that we'd never see him again.
I had to track down. Well, that's who it called. Anyway, the man didn't take down the room number.
Are you kidding? I was like, well, let's just
So she said, he's up there walking
And
around.
about
I said, he probably looped like 5 times with me. And so when I saw him, I was like, oh. And he was way down there and I was like,
I said, I'm sorry, but whoever that was that answered the phone needs to be not answer the phone. Because it was for the people. And he didn't take the room number down.
and he
And
didn't
my
get
name was
to.
Mitchell.
Well, I got candy. I still don't know
Did you
how
get
because
candy?
I did actually get candy. But he kept saying Sandy. One time it was Sanvi. I was like, it's close.
Hey, just, if it has an E on it, you know.
Freaky fast delivery.
I mean, he was pretty fast. I thought.
That really was kind of fast.
It would be so good for Tuesday too.
I'm not really nice.
I didn't get one either.
So full.
Can you grab me one? Thank you.
And just like then. It shouldn't do that.
Thank you, ma'am.
No,
He went and brought, I made brain
we
lunch.
have lunch
I thought
and
about
they're.
bringing lunch, and I thought,
I think I'll bring lunch next time.
I think I like this, it'll be just as easy.
This was a little hard. His head was about to explode. Hannah says her stomach hurts.